Let's see if we can fit all the inconsistencies of the globe Earth model and narrative into one video.
All right, let's see it.
And just so everyone knows, I'm not a globe earther or a flat earther. I have no idea what the shape of the Earth is.
I've found that everybody that says this is definitely a flat earther. The fact that you are publicly asking whether or not the Earth is flat tells me that you haven't figured out the very simple geometry that if the Earth were flat, the sun could never set. But do go on with the facade.
Before we get started on this long list, I'd like to remind everyone it's really important for us to ask questions. It's the lack of asking questions by the Commonwealth that has got us into the situation that a bunch of people think they can lie to us all the time about everything.
There's no problem asking questions. Please do go on.
And because I already know what kind of responses and comments we're going to get on this video, I'd like to remind everybody, if you have the answer to a question, if you're informed and a decent human being, if somebody asks a question about flat Earth, you should be able to just answer the question with your science and your logic and not insult the person's intelligence and walk away.
That's a very good point. And as the asker of the question, when you receive the answer to the question, you will accept the answer, correct? Because asking a question not in good faith so that you will just reject the answer that's provided is not the kind of discourse that you pretend that you want to have.
So let's start with the inconsistencies that brought me into the debate the first time, and that is that NASA lies. It's not a debate, it's not speculation. NASA is lying to us all the time. People talk about the space station, how that's proof that we live on a globe Earth. But how many times have those astronauts been hung up on strings to make it look like they're floating in the space station?
Exactly 0.
Does it mean the space station's not real? Not necessarily. But is it weird that they're faking that they're floating in space?
Not at all, since they're not faking that they're floating. In fact, what you're seeing is specifically curated videos by flat earthers that are deceiving you. And it seems that you bought it. Let me take the most popular example of the guy that's doing a flip. And then the flat earthers try to make it look like somebody's grabbing the wire. But if you have a look at the microphone and the cable coming off of the microphone, you can see that if he had done a flip, the microphone cable would have gotten wrapped around any wire that was supporting him, yet it did not. This shows that he was not being supported by a wire. And the guy grabbing him, his pinky caught on his pocket. That's it. There's no wire there.
Next, how is it possible that the mathematically calculated weight of the Earth is 6.6 sextillion tons?
It was not just mathematically calculated, it was measured. And of course, as in all measurements, math was involved. But second, the mass of the Earth is not measured in tons, it's measured in kilograms. That would be 5.97 times 10 to the 24 kilograms. If you insist on doing it in imperial units, the unit you're looking for is slugs. Not something we use very often, but it's 4.09 times 10 to the 23 slugs. Now, if you want to do it in pounds or tons, then that is doesn't really apply to the surface of the Earth, because the force that you experience on the surface of the Earth is due to the mass of the Earth. So it doesn't quite apply. But if you do want to convert it somehow, it's not appropriate, but into tons, then the right number is 6.58 times 10 to the 21 tons. Now, if you round to 3 digits, you get that. If you round to 2 digits, you get 6.6. Still not 666, that number that you're desperately looking for. So this is not an inconsistency. You just have been hunting for numbers, it seems.
The Earth is going 66,600 miles around the sun.
Yes, it's a new day. I changed clothes and got a haircut. The Earth does not go 66,600 miles around the sun. That suggests by your wording that you're talking about the circumference of the orbit, which is 940 million kilometers or 584 million miles. Maybe you meant 66,600 miles per hour around the sun, and that's not really correct either. Of course, in metric, we have a range of 30.29 kilometers per second to 29.29 kilometers per second, or 67,757 miles per hour to 65,519 or 520 miles per hour. It's a range. Now, that range does include the number 66,600, but that doesn't mean that the Earth is traveling at that rate. Just like if you were to drive on the freeway between 65 miles an hour and 70 miles an hour, you will at one moment be going 66.6 miles per hour. Does that mean that you are traveling 66.6 miles per hour? Only for that one instant. So it's a very disingenuous to claim that the Earth is traveling at that particular rate. Now, if you're going to talk about the average rate, you should not be rounding to any particular number either. And of course, these numbers are done in metric because this is science. We do science in metric.
And it is on a 23.4 degree tilt. And off the other side of the 90-degree angle, that's 66.6 degrees.
Yes, the angle to the ecliptic of Earth's tilt is 23.4 degrees. Now, applying some arbitrary math by subtracting it from 90 does give you a certain magical number that you really like so much, I can tell. But also, applying arbitrary math to your name, King Mygon, also results in 666. I know you're going to love that. I also checked out the other name for your channel, which is the Cosmic Man, and applied some arbitrary math and discovered that it also equals 666. And while I was at it, I tested, does flat Earth equal 666? And indeed it does. Now, you can find 666 or variants of it if you want, wherever you want. It's just a hunting for numbers. So I had a look at flat Earth, and I discovered that from the North Pole to the Tropic of Cancer is 66.6 degrees latitude. Ooh, flat earthers. And also from the outer ring of Antarctica, where the ice wall supposedly goes down, to the Tropic of Capricorn is 66.6 degrees. I also discovered that the speed of the, you're going to love this, the speed of the sun as it orbits the center of flat Earth is 1,666 kilometers. You see, if you go hunting for numbers, you can find numbers. It's not an inconsistency at all. What it is people lying. So, Mygon, you seem to have a problem with people lying, but you have lied here a few times. If you would lie about that, what else would you lie about?
Up next is the rainbow. Understand that the rainbow is a projection from a prism. This nonsense about rainbows being shaped like that because of the shape of raindrops is absolutely ridiculous.
Just because you don't believe it doesn't make it wrong. Rainbows are formed because light bounces inside water droplets in the air. And because of the angle of the raindrops in the air relative to the viewer, you see them and the colors are stacked in a particular way. Due to this geometry, it's very particular, it's well understood. But you are going to say nuh-uh and then present something significantly more well-researched and based in geometry and physics? I can't wait.
The rain is not the prism. The rain is the screen. Even if the rainbow was being projected through the rain, it wouldn't be shaped like each individual raindrop. It doesn't make any sense. It'd be shaped like the entire prism of the sheets of rain. And since all sheets of rain take on different shapes, it's impossible that the rainbow is being created by the rain. The real answer is the rainbow is always there. We just can't see it.
I'm sorry, I should have warned you. You need to have facepalm protection for this one.
Until the rain comes down and creates a visible sheet. It's like projecting a hologram. You need some sort of medium for the hologram to hit so that you can see it. The rainbow is shaped like a bow or a circle, depending on who you talk to, because it's being projected from a convex prism. The light is bouncing off of some solid medium way up there that is shaped like a convex.
Except, of course, this is completely false. There is no convex. He used convex as a noun. You can, in fact, make a rainbow inside where there's no convex around, just a flat ceiling, and a light source and water droplets in the air. Look at this, done in a garage here. We see these PVC pipes that are emitting small droplets of water, and the single light source that's on the other side of the garage there, and we see a curved rainbow, even though there is no convex up above it. That's just how rainbows work. It's the geometry that I mentioned earlier. Sorry, buddy.
What's next? The fact that people aren't allowed to go to Antarctica. Why wouldn't people be allowed to go to Antarctica? You can climb Everest, that's dangerous. There are no people zones and no fly zones all over Antarctica. Why?
You know, for a guy that pretended to not like it when people lie, he sure likes to lie. If you want to go to Antarctica, you can. The treaty specifically states that freedom of scientific investigation is protected by the treaty. You will need to apply through your country to go there, but that doesn't mean you can't. It just means that the country that you're in is going to abide by the treaty and make sure that everybody else in the treaty knows that you're coming there and why. Nothing is to be hidden. It's the opposite of what you think. And there's no military allowed to do military type stuff there either. Would you like to cross-country ski from the shore all the way to the South Geographic Pole? Hundreds of people have done that. Would you like to go and camp at Union Glacier? You can do that. You know what? You could even befriend Mr. Beast and ask him to bring you along with his gang to Antarctica the next time he goes to see the 24-hour sun. You could even go to the South Geographic Pole and plan to get there at the right time to film a 5-day time lapse of the sun being up the entire time and doing circles all around you, just like this video here. But no, you listened to some flat earth videos, hundreds of them, I suppose, and they lied to you and you uncritically accepted the lies. You didn't do your own research, did you?
Then there are those flight patterns where you have to do crazy different detours on planes in order to avoid the South Pole.
There are no flights that take crazy detours to avoid the South Pole. There's a lot of Southern Hemisphere only flights that go between major cities in the Southern Hemisphere. None of them have to take any crazy detours to avoid anything. Some of them get quite close to Antarctica, and you can even see the ice flows like QF27 from Sydney to Santiago. And if you do want to take a flight to the South Pole, you can do that. There are regular flights that go there, especially in the southern summer, which is starts in December and ends in March. So go ahead, sign yourself up. It's free to go. Well, it costs you money. Free as in speech, not free as in beer.
And then there's Admiral Byrd's testimony, a credible military officer, who said that when you fly past Antarctica, you get to new land, fresh water, green grass, and trees.
You're right that Admiral Byrd is a credible military man, but you are wrong in your claim that he saw green grass and fresh trees and all that. That's not a credible claim. In fact, I do believe that it's a lie you just repeated. Again, for a guy that pretends to not like lying. What he did say was that on the other side of the pole, there's an area as large as the United States, and that is in fact true. The rest of Antarctica on the other side of the pole, from where he was doing his exploring, is about the size of America. Amazing.
But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole, on the other side of the South Pole.
That's the credible story. Not this green grass stuff. I don't know what you're talking about, but certainly there is some vegetation on the outskirts of Antarctica. But I don't think that's what he's talking about. Maybe you could give a citation for that instead of just a flat earther saying things.
And I know what a lot of you are thinking. Well, this doesn't prove that the globe doesn't exist, that the sphere doesn't exist. No, but it proves that they're lying to us about a bunch of things that would appear to be hiding a different shape or different sized Earth.
What you have proven is that flat earthers lie, and that you are gullible and will believe their lies without critically examining them.
And how about the satellites? Well, if satellites can go into orbit and spin around the Earth, then why are so many of them attached to balloons and brought to the upper atmosphere?
They don't. Those are not satellites. They have different purposes and they only go up for a short time, and they do something specific that a satellite could not do.
The issue again here is that when we ask these types of questions, we don't get good answers. I have never had anybody tell me why some satellites are on balloons and some satellites they put out into orbit. You'd think if you could get a satellite into orbit and it stays up there for a really long time, why would you do all the logistical pains and extra equipment to put a satellite on a balloon and float it across the sky, have it land, and put it back up? And you'll still have people say that those satellites don't exist with the balloons on them, except we saw one fly over Montana last year.
That also was not a satellite. That appeared to be some spy craft sent potentially from China, but it wasn't a satellite.
And now we have pictures and videos of them launching these satellites attached to balloons at some really cold place, probably Antarctica, probably one of the reasons we're not allowed to go there.
Yep, balloons are launched from Antarctica. And yes, you can go there. Stop lying about that.
And there's the videos of all the pilots saying that, yeah, the Earth is flat. They never have to course correct for the globe. It always goes in a straight line. Are all those pilots part of some wacky conspiracy to get views on the internet? I think it's highly unlikely.
When flights are planned, they use globe-based maps every single time. And the distance between points they need to know, because when you're loading the fuel into the plane, you want to know how much fuel to put in, otherwise you might run out, and that's a very bad thing. Or you might have too much and you'd have to dump fuel just to land because you'd be too heavy. So they need to know that distance, and when they do that, they'll use either the Haversine formula or the Vicente formula. These are trigonometric formulas based on the sphere or an ellipsoid that calculate the distance between 2 points. Now, never do they use the Pythagorean theorem to get the distance between distant, far points on the surface of the Earth so they know how far it is in the airplane. That's because the Earth is not flat. If the Earth were flat, that would be the way that they would do it, but they never do. So they don't need to course correct. They plan their course, their route, based on the globe. And as to the claimed pilots that say the Earth is flat, well, name them. Who are they? Are you talking about those out of context montage videos of people asking pilots things? Give me their names. Go ahead, give me their names. I think that those pilots were just messing around, but I'd love to talk to them. Give me the name. I'll look them up in the FAA Airman database and I'll bring them on my show, but I think you won't. I think you will never find an actual long-range certified pilot that says that the Earth is flat and will back it, that has the courage to do it. Not even an ex-pilot that will back it up and come talk to me. No, that won't happen. Never will. But I'm open to it. Let me know, mctune at mctune.net, if you have a pilot that wants to talk about flight charts on flat Earth. Let's hear it.
And once again, I'd like to remind you, I'm not a flat earther or a globe earther. I think there's a decent amount of evidence to suggest that the Earth should be a sphere. But then again, there's also a decent amount of evidence that they've been lying about a bunch of stuff to prop up that theory.
And every one of your examples so far are lies told by flat earthers.
We used to be able to just talk about cool stuff and imagine and wonder. And now you got a giant majority of the population who are just bullies that are constantly trying to make fun of you for asking questions.
Not making fun of you for asking questions. Upset that you would repeat lies without critical examination. But I will be very excited if you take my answers to the questions that you've asked and accept them instead of rejecting them, which is what flat earthers do. You say you're not a flat earther. Prove it. Don't reject these out of hand.
Normal, reasonable, rational question. And most of them are keyboard warriors that are pretending they have PhDs in astrophysics. It's really pathetic. It's pathetic that we are punishing people for having open minds and asking interesting questions and trying to see the world in the truest way possible.
All right, well, I did answer your questions, so now the ball's in your court, King Mygon. Will you accept these? Because you did not have the answers to them, so if I give you the answers, you have no reason to reject them.